Every wargamer has heard the legend of the Phantom Basing Master. Some say they are just tall tales mumbled by old-timers who sucked on one too many lead models, but there are those who believe and speak of a man not found in any codex. A man who goes by many names: the Dirt Slinger, the Flock Fondler, Grit Daddy and the Baron of Ballast, to name a few. But whatever these lead-befuddled relics call him, they all say he comes to you when you need him the most. Particularly if what you need is advice on basing Warhammer miniatures. This is the story of one such suspected encounter. Skeptics will say it is but a simple interview with James Otero of Siege Studios, but there are believers out there that will say that it is proof of old Sandy Bollocks himself, caught on tape. But I guess that's up to you to decide, dear listener. So without further ado, I present to you Large Blast Podcast, The Sand Files. Hello everybody and welcome to this Large Blast Podcast, best podcast in the world. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined, as always, by Matt.
I've been on the beach all day and I've got sand in my bum crack.
And Welshie.
So based, dude.
And today we're going to be talking about all things Warhammer, but we like to get things kicked off with a little something we call hobbies goings on. And shall we get started with you, Welshie? What's been going on in your hobby progress life?
Yeah, mate. Well, you know, I've been spending most of the day sat in the dark playing Space Marine 2. So I've finally been inspired because I've been playing the Vanguard this week to paint up my Sergeant in Phobos armor way back from the Leviathan box. But I've been really struggling with the base. I wanted that swampy, Kadaku kind of feel to it. I haven't quite been sure what to do. I've been playing with some resin and some of that old kind of slimy stuff I used to buy from Games Workshop, but I can't quite get it right.
No, well, basing, I'm also having a bit of trouble with basing, you know. I tried to base a Necron. I used some tinfoil. Terrible, really bad idea. Matt, what have you been up to?
Starting a new project, as I like to do, on my Empire army. So I've got a load of classic Empire figures and some of the newer stuff. I keep looking at it and thinking, why did I've painted them over the last few years. Why did I go down the road of doing the classic Goblin Green thing?
On the bases.
Oh, so decisive. Yeah. Oh, sounds like we've all been having real base problems recently, haven't we?
Got to change it.
Is that a knock at the door? Hang on, let me just go answer this. Oh shit, it's only Warhammer Michelangelo, James Otero. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. I couldn't help. I was just passing by, and my basing senses were tingling. And have you got some problems with basing by any chance?
Oh, you know we were.
Yeah.
Well, you can see I'm covered in flocks, stuck head to toe.
There's your problem. It goes on the model, not on you. I definitely feel that I'll be able to help you. I've got quite a few things that I've been cooking up for the last 18 months.
And just like that, in the boy's hour of basing knees, James Otero appeared. Run all the way from Essex to the Large Blast studio in Brighton when he heard mention of basing issues. Was this simply the action of a man dedicated to miniature basing, or a visitation from a sandy spirit? Let's listen on and find out.
Yeah, so I wasn't content with obviously doing Siege on its own. I decided to do another mad thing, which is dive into the world, or the niche of a niche that is basing products within the wargaming industry. Adam, who's one of the senior team members at Siege, that's worked for Siege for well over sort of 6-7 years, and is a really prolific comp painter within the company and obviously in the industry. And he came to me and was like, I've got some ideas for doing bits and bobs on basing. And at the same time, I was working on some personal bits like basing wise. We had a chat and we were like, let's do something with it. And that was about 18 months ago. And Siege Scenics was born at that point. And 18 months later, we launched on February 20, announced on February 3rd, and then launched on February 28th. And it's gone a bit crazy. I joked earlier, but I've kind of had to don my inner wargaming Alan Titchmarsh to sort of deliver some of the things that we've been working on. But yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy ride.
So you say you've been doing Alan Titchmarsh. Is this because you're literally like looking through sand types and soil stuff and things like that?
Yeah. So we've got a whole load of products that we've been working on for the last 18 months, and what we launched with is literally it's a classic iceberg. So what you see that's on the store, what you've announced, is like a very finite amount of actually what we've been working on, if that makes sense. So we've got like we launched with 23 ranges. So we launched with 16 tough ranges and then 7 moss pads. And then we've got nearly double that's coming out. That's going to be coming out soon. Give you guys a little bit of an exclusive on that. And then you mentioned about basing material. Yeah, I have been literally doing experiments with all different types of sand and basing material for about the last 18 months. The basing and sort of like that kind of stuff within our industry is quite interesting, actually. I spent probably about 12 months doing research on different brands in the industry, and it was a kind of a hybrid of like finding a way to do something a little bit different with the way that we do it as a company compared to what's in the industry, but also make it really easy for someone to get into it and to really kind of have like confidence when it comes to applying stuff onto miniatures. So I think that's one of the big things is like, what colors do I use? Or, if I'm trying to create this environment, what's the best way for me to do it? And especially with basing mixes, a lot of like, I'm very old school. I like putting sand on the base and I like painting it and like that kind of stuff. But sometimes the painting of it can be a bit taxing for people. So we wanted to release stuff that literally looks great out the pot, and you can use it straight away as it is, and it looks very natural and very kind of like fitting for the games that you're going to be using it for. Which is what our basing ranges are, but they still look amazing. They look better, obviously, in my opinion, when they're painted, but they look really good. So if you're not really fussed and you just want to get stuff on the table and it still look really good, like the basing ranges are actually pretty straight out the pot. They're really good. But I spent probably about 18 months going around garden centres and stuff in my spare time, which I know sounds really silly, but
No.
We're all in our 30s. We know what you mean.
Yeah, well, yeah, like,
do you literally find yourself like looking like? Because I guess that because you want to do things like woodland moss or whatever. So you're literally looking at woodland moss, being like, how am I gonna recreate this on a tiny scale? Does everything all of a sudden look like a little toy town to you as you're going past?
100%. Yeah. So we literally tried like loads of different things. Like what Adam's background, as I mentioned, he's like really, really high-end painter. Like, I comp paint, but Ad's been doing it a lot longer than me. He's got way more accolades than me, and like he's really got a great eye for like realism, which I think is something that he really, really, when we had the initial conversations about what we wanted for the brand and for the business, that was one of the things. Is like we both were like, we really want it to be super immersive, super realistic, and give people confidence when it comes to choosing products, which I think is one of the things. Like you go in and you look at loads of tufts and there's all different things out there, and I think that was one of the big severances that I saw when I looked at like other companies in the industry, to not to come across the wrong way and to try and remain as professional as possible. Like I see basing as like miniature gardening, which I know sounds a bit silly, but it really is like, the environments you're trying to create, or like if you go in a garden centre and you look at plants, they'll say on the cards that the plants or the bushes or whatever the trees, it will say description about it, the best environment for that plant to be in, other colours or plants that go really well with it for like colours if you're trying to do like interesting sort of like settings and things like that, or like really good colourful displays. And when I then extrapolated that way that plants and stuff were marketed in like garden center industry or garden centers, and then looked at that within wargaming, like for what I considered obviously miniature gardening, there's nothing like that. It's just like brown tuft, green tuft, or like the craziest thing is the seasons. Like there's not really anyone doing it with season in mind, which I think is crazy when it comes to actually what it is, if that makes sense. So like with what we tried to do is not only combine seasons, but we sat down and went, right, we created all the different ranges, all the different colors and things we're doing, and we sat down and had a meeting and went, right, that's winter, that's autumn, that's spring, that's summer, and we then put all of those together, looked at how they worked as a group, if that makes sense, and see how the colors and tones work together, so that again, as a consumer, you can easily go, right, well, if I get 4 summer packs, I know that if I use tufts from all those 4 summer packs, they'll work really well together. So they're pre-selected tonally to work together. And that's very similar to like when you go in a garden centre and it says this bush works really well with this bush for colours if you, for during autumn or during winter, you know, or when it flowers in spring or summer. These 2 bushes, the flowers that they have, they complement each other and that kind of stuff. We've tried to kind of like, when I went around garden centres and done my like research into them, that's kind of like what I wanted to bring into the brand, is that for a consumer, you go on the website, you select a set of tufts you like the look of initially. There's that hook of, oh, I like this range, and then in the information it will say predominantly set for this type of environment, but you can also use these ones with it to give you this kind of look, you know, and that's kind of like,
so
it gives
so it's almost like a
confidence.
paint range.
Kind of, yeah, kind of, yeah. It's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, it's like a
yeah, like
range.
those kind of, you know, you buy those army painter boxes that are like trench warfare paint selection, you know, but it's mixed that color palette for you already, but it's almost it's a 3D color palette.
Cool.
For you.
Yeah.
I know you do those sweet dioramas. You should do like a diorama of kind of a Chelsea flower show type thing of all guys like using your new range
with a tip marine with a watering can or something like that.
Gotta have something like that. Yeah, blasting it with a hose arm.
There's like old metal one that already looks like he's got one. It's a kind of old like oil pump. I've got that. It's from like 88 or something. He looks like he's got a watering can.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. But that's the thing. And like, and I think the other thing that nods onto that as well is like, I really wanted to give everything a bit of personality, which I think is something like, again, I got touched upon it earlier. Like, for example, like some of them are called like you have green or blue or this kind of, or whatever it is, you know, and I wanted it to be like, have when you give something a bit of character, it becomes more memorable and it has personality. So like, that's why everything, like absolutely everything, has its own inherent name. So like, for example, we've got, you know, Boxbury Forest, First Light Evergold, you know, we've got Radiant Savannah, you've got like the Basin Mixer, you've got Urban Decadence, you've got Terra Firma, you've got Mangala Plateau, Barrack and Melange. That we've given.
So did you come up with all those names yourself? Because we were like astounded. We were like, God, have they sat down and come up with every single adjective here?
It's like Mad Max meets a Lynx range, isn't it? It's like
that's great. Yeah, no, like, so yeah, that was my doing, unfortunately. I said this to Ad and we were talking, I was like, you know, I really want to approach the naming in a very different way to what's in the industry already. Like, so I want our products to have like something that's very unique about them in the sense of the personality. A consumer can go into a local retailer or FLGS or whatever and go, you know, rather than, oh, what was those green tufts that I bought from you? When they buy it, they'll see the name on it. That will become memorable, and it has a little bit of quirkiness, so it has that hook when it's like, oh, I remember that, like, you know, and then it's easy for someone to go back in and go, oh yeah, I bought some Tiger Sunrise, you know, and it's just like, that sounds like a crazy name, but it has that click factor that allows them to psychologically remember it from having that quirkiness to it. If that makes sense.
And it does sound like there's like you say, it feels like when you buy like a tuft online or whatever, it's sort of designed in a vacuum. It is just this color tuft, and so it is cool to hear that like there's this idea of kind of making it into a range.
I think it works.
That's what we want to do.
It sounds like it worked really well to pull an army together as well, because, you know, sometimes you go, like you say, you forget you've just bought green tufts and you go and you buy another manufacturer's green tuft, and then half your army doesn't match anymore because you can't remember what you bought in the first place. So
yeah, 100%. There is an agenda to it as well, and I'll always be open about everything. So like, one of the things, obviously, when it came to doing it, Adam and myself, we spoke about it, and we were like, right, we couldn't just start this brand new thing and like not have any affiliation at all whatsoever to Siege at all whatsoever. But why it would be ludicrous to not have had this thing in the industry, and I'd be part of that. You know, he's been part of it for many, many years. It'd be ludicrous to not leverage from that known brand and reputation for quality that we've worked very hard to build over the last God knows how many years, nearly 12 years, 13 years. So that's why we decided to call it Siege Scenics, and it's got that double S kind of ring to it, like the same as Siege Studios, Siege Scenics. It works as well. And I think for a consumer, it makes it quite evident if they know of Siege Studios, the fact that it's got Siege, and it will give them that immediate, well, I know it's going to be a quality product or whatever, etc. And at the same time, giving all the guys at Siege and all the guys and girls at Siege like a ludicrously good discount on the products, incentivizing them,
ask you.
incentivizing them to use it. So the long-winded agenda of it is so that we can basically guarantee our clients consistency on basing, because one of the things we've found, look, over 10, 12 years of business, like tough ranges do go out of production, or things do change, and like if you've got a long-term client that comes back to you and they're like, oh, I want to, this brand new Primaris model's come out, or this brand new Tyranid range has come out, and like I had stuff done 6 years ago, and we dig out the recipe form and we find the toughs, and then they're not produced anymore. Having control of, like, through like a sister company, having the control of products that inherently go on the bases means we get greater consistency from product from batch to batch to batch for clients. It just firms up the confidence for a customer as well, if that makes sense.
I think that definitely makes sense, especially, I mean, I know you work with Games Workshop quite a lot, but I've found over the 20 plus years I've been doing 40k that Games Workshop is notorious for just cutting technical ranges,
the base panes,
and it's just really difficult. I used Astra Granite Debris for a long time as a quick way to base up, and they've just cut it. And it's been gone for years. And I went to the shop and they said, "Oh, we might be working with an external company to bring out new stuff." And it's like,
the mine ran dry. The vein
let me know
material.
so I can buy 50 of them before you stop it. But this sounds like a workaround for that, which is good.
Yeah, that's the kind of, like I say, silver lining. Obviously, like we wanted to produce. Obviously, that Siege is a service-based business, and like I really wanted to do a product-based business in the industry as well. And like the fact that it complements. Obviously, I've done a brush company in the past, and like I wanted to do another product-based business. And me and Ad were like, it's the hardest thing has been keeping it quiet. Like I'm known for, like, I get so excited about things that we're doing, I scream from the rafters, and I want to tell people, and it's that, and being like quiet about it for 18 months and like just working away, screwing away, like going around garden centres, looking at products online, looking at garden centres online, like designing all these products, coming up with some ludicrously stupid names, like all this stuff, like, and not being able to talk about it has been a bit nuts, being honest. Like, it's the first time properly that I've kind of kept it really, really on the lowdown and then just dropped it like a nuke, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be this thing that, like, a few people said, "Oh, are you going to come back and you're going to do brushes like in another brush company or something like that?" And I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I've done what I feel was the best I could do with the people I work with. Obviously, when I done Artist Opus, and like I just wanted to do something that was different, and like it's something that I feel in the industry. There are companies already that have been going way longer, obviously, but again, from research, there was a bit of a market gap for doing something in a little bit of a quirky way, which meant that it gives a little bit of uniqueness to what we do, if that makes sense, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with it.
How did the manufacturing process part of it kind of go then? Because obviously, when you think I want a tuft that looks like this, are you sitting down with tuft makers? I mean, what is the world of tuft design like?
Me and Adam make everything ourselves.
What?
So Adam and myself do all the production. So currently, obviously, we've been launched as a company. We've been incorporated since 2023, but launch obviously February 3rd. So we do all the production. So there's no kind of like third party. We're not outsourcing to a tuft manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Every line, every fiber, every color, every tone, every shape, every name, everything is decided upon, created, birthed, manufactured by Adam and myself. My other half does a load of cutting and packing and stickering and labeling. I owe about 5 million hours of time, doing that. We've got, father-in-law helping with production, it's been really interesting, the process, because like we've both made tufts on our own at a hobby desk for our own like competition stuff before, but on a very minute level, like really minute level, like with the not industrial production, which is what we're doing now. So we literally had to spend about 8 months developing the way that our tufts are made. To do them in a way which is efficient with time, but doesn't sacrifice quality and still gives a very unique, organic, natural looking way. Fiber selection is massive. It takes, we've done loads of color testing, through buying loads of flock, from massive like manufacturers. We've had meetings with manufacturers, and all of it. It's really funny, actually. So all the production is done in the New Forest. So we make Scenics in the middle of this beautiful like New Forest area as well. So it's like you can step out the unit and walk for like 5-10 minutes, and you're in the middle of a forest. So like you can get inspiration for like colors, tones. It's really good. Like so it's but Adam and me make it all. Like that's what we
Careful
do.
of the pigs down there. That's where I'm from. Beware of the wild boar when you're looking at
it's the horses. You'll be driving through the New Forest, and then there'll suddenly be like a horse like going across. I was coming home one night, got really light in the evenings, and like like you're literally driving down the road, and they're like standing in the middle of the road, and you've got to like stop. And then
you've got your scissors. You've got your scissors trying to cut the horsehair off for your bases. That's the perfect shape.
Yeah, they're kind of like cows in India, horses in the New Forest. You just got to let them do their thing. In an enchanted house, in a forest glade, when the glow of sunlight fades, you'll find him there with the things he's made. Sand and tufts of every shade. Curry fiasco yellow to bleached butthole beige. Tottenham away kit to BDSM piss rave. Concerning lump purple, spring morning glow. The Sandman's got them all, you know. So I've got I thought I could maybe just give you a bit of a hand, Obviously, it's got to be a bit of a racket, right? Flogging sand. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a little bit of a racket. So I thought the Large Blast podcast listeners, they're a discerning bunch, they might need a bit more convincing into buying some sand. So I thought I could give you some advertising tips, and maybe kind of like The Apprentice, you could give it a James Otero or a James Otero no, if you don't like it or you do like it. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So tell me what you think about this, right? Yep. Every 1,000th pot of sand, right, has an eighth of cocaine in it. It's recoverable, but you've got to kind of sieve it out. It's a bit grainy, a bit rubbly, but in a pinch, but that could get the punters in, right? In a pinch, you might be the lucky one.
Unfortunately, that has got to be an Otero no.
No, Otero no. Oh, damn. Okay, all right. Sorry. All right. What about this one then? Okay, you play the numbers game, so you'd be like, you can do the classic kind of advertising thing, where you'd be like, you don't just get 1 grain of sand, you don't get 2 grains of sand, you get 6 million grains of sand in every pot, and be all like, yeah, we've got 6 million grains of sand. Really count the bits of sand and, give them a rough estimate. They're not going to count them, so you can just make it up, flog it that way. It seems like you're getting a lot.
Do you know what? That really is funny, because I don't want to get too deep into the thing I'm going to say next, and I'm going to caveat it just to not go too crazy. But like, saying big numbers is like a really good strategy in politics, because like, and I don't want to get into an in-depth political conversation, but like, they just chuck these massive numbers at you, and like it kind of adds some weight to stuff. Does that make sense? So like, I completely appreciate what you're saying. However, because of the correlation to that specific thing that I mentioned, it's probably going to be an Otero no.
Oh, damn. All right, 2 for 2. All right, but I think this last one, this is a winner. This is going to be the one, I reckon. So you purchase, you purchase the rights to Metallica's Enter Sandman. You re-record the music video with you giving out sand to people and basing Warhammer miniatures.
I'll go with that. That's an Otero.
Hell yeah! Cool. I'm in. Back in. Yeah, there you go. Feel free to use any of them if you.
Yeah.
So are you able to tell us about any of the things lower down?
Yeah, I want to know about the iceberg,
like,
yeah.
Well, I should say first, having looked at the website, the thing I'm most excited by from your range is the mold pads. Not mold pads, moss pads. I suppose they do look a bit like mold as well, but the moss
mold,
pads.
Yeah, it looks like mold, yeah.
Because that's not something I've really seen before when I'm kind of walking down the aisles, that you can stick on nice big boulders, especially with Games Workshop's fancy for putting large pieces of rock on bases that you can't cut off. I think those are really good. But other than the stuff that's already out, what are you working towards?
Oh, okay. So we're very close to a few things that are coming. I can say some things and I can't say some things. All right. Sure. Okay. So UK Games Expo, we're going to have a massive release, like huge release. We wanted, the beauty of doing it the way we've done it, as in doing 18 months of work, not announcing anything, absolutely hush hush, top secret, Area 51, and then dropping it, is that it gives us plenty of stuff to then gradually release post-launch, if that makes sense. So we launch with the 23 lines, 16 tuft and 7 moss pads. And then we've got wave 2, wave 3. I say wave, I hate that terminology, but like the next release. And we've got loads of things planned over the next sort of 6 to 12 to 18 months that we've been developing, and we're just going to increase the range. What we didn't want to do is suddenly just go, here we are, we've got these things, and that's it, and we could have obviously launched a lot sooner, but with less. But putting in the graft and the patience before will hopefully reward better, because it will give a much better selection of choice for a consumer when they go on the website, if that makes sense. So UKGE, we've got a huge release. I'm going to give you, we've got 3 different ranges, 3 different things that are releasing or being added to what's currently available on the website. I can't say what they are at the moment, but I can give you a bit of an inkling into them.
It's cocaine idea, isn't it? I knew it.
He's going to rephrase it as ice for the Space Wolves. That's what it is.
Well, all I will say is you're not far off.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. We're proud to announce the first collaboration between Siege Studios and Large Blast Podcast. That's basing sand with cocaine in every 1,000th ton. It's rubbly, but if you think of it as homemeal cocaine, then it's actually fine.
Siege Studio does not endorse this message.
That's all I'll say. But there's 2 things within that arena that are coming very soon, which, if you like our basing stuff, as in our material, these 2 will fulfill that environment very, very well and look great. That's all I'll say. All right, okay. The other 2 things.
When is the Games Expo?
So UK Games Expo is from the 30th of May till the 1st of June at the NEC. It's the first time that Siege is going back to conventions. We didn't go for a couple of years. We done Adepticon in 2019. We did obviously Iron Skull and Painted and then we stopped doing, obviously the pandemic and everything was there. We done a salute or 2 during when it was safe to, but we haven't really done conventions for quite some time, be it in the States or be it in the UK. So returning to them is actually going to be really, really fun. Obviously meeting people, seeing people in the community, seeing obviously how the industry's grown, all that kind of stuff. So UK Games Expo is the 30th of May till the 1st of June at the NEC. A week later, we then have Iron Skull. So Iron Skull, our painting comp is back. So Siege's painting comp is back. Obviously, it's going to be in Essex now rather than central London. It's a much bigger event, single day, and we're going to have a stand there with loads of retailers. Scenics is going to be there. Loads of other companies are going to be there. So we've got these 2 huge events that we're going to be doing. And we wanted to go to both of those in that week between the UK Games Expo and Iron Skull to have we're essentially tripling the range is what we're doing. So you'll see almost 2 lots more of what we've got on there currently coming out. So there's going to be huge growth, obviously, in the next 4 to 5 weeks, basically. One of the 2 things I can't go into too much, but what I can say to give you a bit of an idea. One of the things is a type of stuff that I've seen lots of it done, but not done filling the core values that we have as a brand, which is looks realistic or a lot more realistic, looks natural, looks believable to be fauna, if that makes sense. Okay. Flora. The other part of it is something that me and Adam are really excited about, which is, again, extra basing stuff, not material, other things to put on bases, which no one else is doing, and it's like a hybrid thing that we're doing, basically. So that's all I can say, but I can't say any more than that.
James was caught off guard. Obviously impressed by the LBP's business acumen, James nearly let slip some news from beyond the veil. His eyes started to glow with a sandy lustre, and the LBP paranormal detector started to register enchanted grits. Could it be that the wargaming basing Phantom and James were legion? One hybrid being of man and basing material. Let's listen on and find out.
Well, maybe if we give you some of our basing problems, you might be able to tell us whether you think you've got any of them covered in the upcoming ranges.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, so this is a quick fire basing round. So a short answer to how you'd base these things. So I'll start us off. So Old One Eye, he's destroying your lovely Blood Angels on Baal. How'd you go about that?
Mangala Plateau. And you want to use, I would use either Dawn Harvest or Dune Shrub with that. Or there's a really good tuft that we've made. It's got like a bit of a reddish tinge to the core called Fireheart Grove. and that orangey inner core looks really good with the Mangala, which is like a Marzi kind of like basing material. But the new stuff, there's some really cool things coming that would definitely aid with that. So yeah,
and lots of dead blood angels.
No, we can't have that.
Oh, this one's a bit mental, but a Harlequin dance studio.
We have definitely got stuff coming.
Wow.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we have
wicked.
definitely
That
got
would be-
stuff coming that will look really good on that, especially with all the colours that the Harlequins have going on. Yeah,
Slimarbo versus the Lictor.
yeah, definitely.
That's good.
The ranges we've got currently have got some really good stuff for jungle environments, which is really good. But yeah, like we've definitely got some stuff that will cover that quite nicely.
Or Woodstock 99.
I don't even know what that'd be like.
Mud, I guess. Mud and
dust.
blood and teeth.
There's lots of
I
dust.
think, but I think it would
teeth.
still have that like old school picture quality. I think it would go for that old goblin green, base from the old
Big fan
school
of Goblin
style.
green
It's all
base.
brown and
Definitely.
dusty, wasn't it?
I'm sure
Yeah,
it would
I
be in
Woodstock
real life,
99.
but like, yeah.
You could easily mix some like maybe some like PVA and gloss varnish into like I'd probably say either Mangala or like yeah, Mangala would be good because it'd go a lot darker if you add like PVA into it, like a lot of like make a paste out of it. So you could like add some water and PVA together, mix some Mangala in so it goes a bit of a paste. You could even maybe put in a little bit of brown ink into it as well to just tint it slightly darker, which would look quite good. And then you could slap that on, and that'd give you a really wet muddy. And if you then gloss varnish it afterwards, that would be like I don't know if any of you have been to the festival before, but there's a festival obviously in England called Download. Well, one
Every
year
year.
when it rained a lot, it was called something else, which you need to change a few letters on that one to make it the name. But you could make it look very much like that edition of Download. Yeah. So yeah.
What about an orgy in Slaneshi's palace? I'm thinking cushions. I'm thinking bedspreads, wet wipes.
Yeah, like I don't know about.
You got a range of cushions coming out.
We haven't got a range of cushions coming out, unfortunately. Yeah, no, that's not something that we've got coming. But there's something that will give the vibe of that. Maybe not to the full extent, but yeah, there's some stuff
like
coming that will.
It's not a too distant cousin from the Harlequin dance studio, really. I suppose.
That's true.
No, not really. Yeah. It's like they're like the opposite sides of a disco where people don't want to dance with each other and they just stay by the walls. That's like, yeah, Slanesh and Harlequins.
Oh yeah, that's true. They've got a history.
Sure.
So this painting competition, I was interested in that. Is this you say you're restarting this?
Yeah.
And this is something that anyone can enter?
Yeah, definitely. So in 2020, we done Iron Skull, which is our painting competition. We done that in London. It was really, really successful. We had like 300 odd people travel from all over the world. Like we had people travel from Japan, like Australia, the States, etc. It's really, really like we didn't know how it was going to be. Again, we've got a really fantastic trophy that several people are involved with. They took a really crappy sketch that I done and converted it into an absolute masterpiece. We because of COVID and the pandemic, obviously, like it was one of the most arduous and difficult periods for all society. Like it just absolutely destroyed everything, like events and like getting out, seeing your friends, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we won't talk about the obvious, which is obviously people unfortunately not making it through. Like we obviously didn't want to run events, and there were like there was a period of a lull, like in the summer on both years, so in 20 and 21, where it kind of like got a bit better and. There was a couple of conventions and things that were held, but we just didn't want to be like obviously bringing it back in that kind of time frame, if that makes sense. We didn't think it was the right thing to do, so we've waited for a long time to do it, and yeah, it's finally coming back this year. We announced it in October of 24, and it's at a new venue outside London, right next to M25, an hour from most airports, really easy to travel to, lots of hotels and stuff nearby. It's a single day event. And yeah, we're really looking forward to coming back. Anyone can enter. We've got junior category. We've got obviously 11 other categories. 10 other categories. Staff categories, obviously for Siege Studio staff, but all the other categories are for like general entry. So you buy one ticket to come to Iron Skull. There's an entrant ticket where you can just come in and obviously enter the competition, or you got like a spectator ticket, which is obviously a lot cheaper. So even if maybe you don't want to enter. coming down to go to the retailers to go and see obviously like all the amazing miniatures in the cabinets. Like it's a hopefully a really lovely day out where you can be immersed with beautiful miniatures and lots of retailers and shopping, and we've got a stand there that's got loads of props, so like life-size chainswords, bolt guns, power armor, like all this kind of stuff. So if you want some really cool photos of you like with a massive chainsword, or they've got like fantasy stuff, science fiction stuff. So you could stand there with a huge moon goblin shield and have a chainsaw, which is quite funny. So, so like there's loads of really cool things going on. My favourite thing about it is I run a wargaming boot sale called War Boot. And we do that 4 times a year here in Essex, like every 3 months. We're doing the biggest one ever in June, where we've got loads of independent traders, people that are clearing their loft, clearing their garage, wanting to get rid of some of their pile of grey shame, whatever. And it's such an amazing event in itself that we've combined it with Iron Skull to make a really immersive kind of one day for people who are into miniatures and wargaming and obviously painting to a really high level.
Oh, great. And Matt and I have both done Golden Demon back in Warhammer Fest days before that kind of disappeared in the UK. What's the kind of difference from your competition to them? Presumably it's not Games Workshop only, or is it?
Yeah.
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 And so categories, the kind of same categories?
Kind of, yeah. So you got like sci-fi single fig, fantasy fig. We also do have historicals as well.
Okay,
so like
cool.
whether you play Bolt Action or you play like Malifaux or you play Infinity or you play like any of these other game systems, like there's a category for you to enter something, and like even if you're a scale modeler. So let's just say you love doing scale model World War II tanks, and making them look super realistic. We've got a category which has historical vehicles, so that you can literally bring like your Abrams or bring your Sherman or your, your Panzer IV. Yeah, so there's a category for we've got obviously scene. We've kind of amalgamated this year. We've amalgamated diorama and duel into one category and just called it scene. So it can be like 2 models or multiple models. We'll probably separate it in the future years, but we'll do dual independently because dual's quite an interesting one. Like it's a really good category in itself. But just for the first year back, we kind of like wanted to make sure that like people who are familiar with the first year can see obviously how the categories have progressed this year, and then next year we'll probably revisit the way that they are and look at them a bit different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nice. That sounds like something we might try and get to, Stoney.
I'm well up for that. Yeah.
So the car boots on the same time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So the idea is you come in if you're doing a comp ticket, you come in, when you turn up, you just show obviously that you bought a competition ticket. You get handed an envelope that has all your entry cards that you've filled in the entry form in advance, and then you then literally can drop your models off, get them in the cabinet. The stress and relief is all done, and then you can go shop. And War Boot, yeah, there's loads of stuff there, like old Warhammer, the new Warhammer. Like there's loads of stuff there. Plus retailers, you've got like Elements are there, Artist Opus are there. You've got Tarot there, obviously with all these plinths and his like different things that he makes. We've got a historical company there that does busts, like all different bits and bobs like that. Obviously, Scenics are there, so if you want to get Scenics, that's that there. There's the stand that's got all the props and stuff. There's loads, and then you've got War Boot going on as well. So yeah, but there's lots of things going on the day.
Nice, amazing. That sounds fun. You might find us walking around with a camera.
Definitely come down. Again, if you want to come down and do like a video or a thing for the podcast about the event and how it was, I'd advise you to enter. If you've done Demon before, you'll fit in like a glove, into the format. And it's a very much it's an Olympic style system where you have obviously gold, silver, bronze, obviously, but within the categories. You've also got like commended, you've got finalists, you've got like spot prizes. It gives a real good way for someone who's interested in getting into that side of things or pushing their painting to have like a tangible system of like, well, I've got this, now I aim for this, now I aim for this, now I aim for this as well. 4 really, really fantastic judges that are judging the competition. So we've got Mark Lifton, we've got John Keys, obviously who are like separate, independent outside of Siege. And then we've got Phil Price and Adam Skinner, obviously my co-business partner from Scenics, who's obviously a judge as well. And the 4 of them are judging, and they've got a really, really wide array of experience with like both types of miniature, environment, setting, whether it's historicals, fantasy, science fiction. They've done all those different things, busts, like all that different stuff. So yeah, it's a really good judging team. And it should be a really, really good competition as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool.
Great.
Okay.
Well, I think that's about everything that we needed to know. But it's always a pleasure, James. Thanks so much for you coming in and sharing this amazing new venture with us. And we can't wait to see more of it.
Bring on the Harlequin Dance Studio. That's what I say.
Harlequin Dance Studio. I'll put that on the list. The names, I'll have to think of some special names for that one specifically. So yeah.
So there you have it, dear listener. A simple interview about basing materials with all-round ace geezer James Otero. But was that all? You see, after James left, the Large Blast podcast boys noticed that all their unfinished models had been based beautifully with top-quality Siege Scenics products. So remember, if you're in basing trouble, just look to the skies and whisper, "Help me, James Otero and Siege Scenics." And who knows, maybe you too will be visited by the Sultan of Sand himself. And don't forget, every 1000th tub also has cocaine in it.
Siege Studio does not endorse this message.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.